Breaking news, Mohamed Salah, he's off. No, he's not, is he? Let's take a breath, right? He's done an interview with Sky Sports and he has spoken about his future. I'm going to dive into his future, but what I want you to do is get in the comments, and don't just get in the comments, talk in the comments. This is a fact-finding opportunity here. What are your theories and thoughts? Are you in the know? Do you know more than me? Let me know in the comments down below, because I am fascinated to get more information on it from Liverpool fans. You will know more elements. So what I will do is I've written down some questions here and I want to go through them. I also want to go through, having watched the interview itself, some sort of quotes that I thought were really, really interesting. And I think it's one where if you look at this one headline, it's one thing, but there's just so much more to it. So let's start off with this. So Mo Salah to Sky on his Liverpool future. It's my last year at the club and I want to do something special for the city. It's the last 6 months. There is no progress on contract talks. We are far away from any progress, so we just have to wait and see. Now, the thing that's been like straight away chucked out there, totally understandable, you've got to understand the medium and do the right things, is to put, it's my last year at the club. What I think is really important here, and this is where the conversation comes from us in the comments. And again, have a conversation with each other, but like respectfully, right? Let's have a conversation. I think there's a pinch of salt that needs to be taken or sprinkled on this, in the sense of some elements being kind of lost in translation, or at the very least, an acceptance of the nuance of it. That said, I think Mohamed Salah has the perfect mindset of an attacking player. There's also a thing I want to tell you. I'll tell you at the end, because I think it's a really important part of what if he does sign, what and will that affect things. But in terms of his initial comment, you will all watch the interview by now, right? He's speaking within the facts, right? And he was always going to get kind of asked that question. And I think he knows what he's doing, right? He is looking to move this forward. Now, the way you can then let that sort of lead your thoughts in terms of how this will be resolved and what is the truth of the matter, which is he has not signed a contract yet. So he is currently in the last year of his deal. Like, will that get sorted out? Who knows, right? What is interesting here is one angle that you could chuck out there is the fact that he is doing more press than he's probably done in a long time means that he's kind of enjoying this. He wants to be wanted, but at the same time, he's not happy with the contract talks, because if he was happy with it, he would sign it, right? And he is sometimes you do see the personality of players on the pitch. I think often you do. He is a ruthless person in terms of, wanting to be one of the greats, right? And that's why he keeps himself in such great nick. I'm going to show you his goals record in a second. The reason he's so fantastic year in, year out in terms of output is because that's what he's about. He's about output. So we're getting to this point of the season, and it is around the sort of Jurgen Klopp announcement last year. So I can imagine Liverpool fans being nervous about this. I think you'd be nervous about what are FSG doing here. Van Dijk, Trent, and Salah. It's been a rumbling conversation. It's a conversation where you're all going, okay, which one? We've all played the game, haven't we? Like, which one of the three would you keep? For me, it's him. Because, the amount of goals that he's giving you every single year is so important here. But at the same time, he would not be speaking out or doing these interviews full stop, really, and then dropping in, I'm in my last season casually. And again, he can get out of it because he is currently in his last season. But what it does kind of say to me is that Liverpool also kind of playing hardball back. And that's kind of dangerous. That is kind of dangerous because you're going to lose an absolutely outstanding player who is, I think, is maybe getting better. I think he is maybe getting better. Here's some other quotes I thought were interesting here. He said that he sits down for 2 days, just kind of thinks, reflects, and writes down goals. And one that he wanted to was make others better. And I think we're seeing that. You're seeing that with the amount of assists this season. Let me show you. The amount of assists that he's getting this year. And his numbers are all round are absolutely insane this year. But currently, like, this is absolutely mad, isn't it? How many he's getting? 17 goals, 13 assists at the time of recording. Let me just zoom out so you can see it all. That's absolutely outstanding. And when we move along here, if you go to per 90, just zoom in here. And so, as you can see, goals and assists, we'll go to that about there. What you can see is, again, in terms of per 90, it's absolutely insane what he's doing, right? So he is getting better. He is suiting this system, but he knows his worth. And so there is a problem there. And you could lose him. The question becomes, is this as good as it gets? And so is it not worth giving him the money he wants? And he will know his worth and he will want that. You know, he wanted to be top scorers. That's why he's won Golden Boot numerous occasions. That's why there was a little bit of tension. It felt on the pitch at times with Sadio Mane, because Salah likes to be the guy. And I don't see any problem in that at all. And actually, I think that kind of personality, he said another thing about he's being relied on more this year. He's absolutely fine with that. He's absolutely fine with that. So I just think these are all elite traits for a player who has consistently been elite and who rarely gets injured, who offers big numbers every single season. And it's a dangerous game that FSG are playing. Now, I've got this really weird theory here. I'm going to chuck it out there. Is this a lightning rod for discussion? And what I mean by that is, I bet you can think of a player now that's contract was up. As soon as he signs that contract, there's a feeling of the pressure is released. And I think what's quite nice about this situation for Salah and for the club and for the team, and you can see it in terms of his numbers and you can see it in terms of the Premier League table, is he's grateful. I think he goes, if this is your last year, you look at it in a different way. What happened last year, I think there was that feeling initially of like, oh, let's be grateful and go for it. I think as time progressed, that, along with the style of play of Jurgen Klopp's teams, meant that it kind of was just all a bit of a tiz. There wasn't the same composure maybe that I think there is this season. But again, I think in terms of putting that on a player, in terms of kind of enjoying the moment, enjoying the pressure, enjoying the scarcity of this being your last 6 months, I think he enjoys it. I think he wants people talking about it. Like, why would you not be enjoying this if you could put your head into sort of Mo Salah's personality? He is obviously a good man, but he's a good man who likes to be the guy. And so when people are talking about how great he is and why they should give him whatever he wants, he's going to hold out a little bit. But also, like, in that space, in this present that we're in, it's a fertile ground for Salah, I think. And I think he's enjoying every second of it. And so I don't see a problem with this rumbling on as long as it gets sorted out. So my theory of this is, I'm just chucking it out there. I'm not saying this is right at all. It's 99% incorrect. But have they had a conversation where they've gone, like, you're playing great, and this is getting people talking about you and how great you are more than team, or can they do it? Can they, like, after, can they finally do it in front of their own people? That whole thing. Are these people devious enough behind the scenes, or is it just as simple as that? Is it? It's a power struggle in terms of wanting to get that contract that that obviously everyone I think wants, and I think there's no doubt that he's got more years left in the tank, in my opinion. In terms of that pinch of salt with the language, I thought this stood out to me. He said, Arsenal is catching us. Chelsea is catching us. They're not really catching them at the moment. He meant chasing. So again, I think that's, in terms of some of the bits he's saying, I think it might come across as that little bit blunt because he's not English isn't his first language, right? So there's going to be little nuances that people are going to pull stuff out of, when actually I think he's talking quite straight, unless he's talking completely not straight. I think this is a fascinating one. I like the fact that he was talks about being the greatest and being in the conversation, being the greatest Liverpool all time. Again, this is the other side of it, is where he'll be that little bit more blunt. He says, it's in my head. So he wants to be the greatest Liverpool player of all time. That does not sound like someone who doesn't want to sign a contract. But what he wants is the contract that he deserves. And I think that is a fair point. The thing I'm going to end on here is, if he signs the contract, as I say, sometimes you sign someone and you think, you give them the deal, and then the next day, Aubameyang's the one, isn't it? He signed the damn thing, and then it all went wrong. What I will go back to is this. If you look at when he signed, obviously he signs in this year. So that's his first year at the club, and obviously you're looking to do well, right? And in that season, he scored goals and assists 42. Okay? Outrageous. He then, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong here, I may well be wrong, but I just had a quick look before I recorded. His next contract was here. And in that, what was a very difficult season for Liverpool, not due to him, really, he still got 31 goal involvements, which is more than last year. And obviously he's flying at the moment. My point is 42, 30, 29, 27, 36, 28. Don't have to worry about him not contributing. I just don't think he won't have I shouldn't say this, I guess, but all the data would suggest that no drought comes from then giving him the contract. So as long as you give it to him at the end of all of this, it's all sweet. But if you let this guy go, you're not replacing him. You might say you are, but in terms of being able to do that year in, year out, I just think this is all fine. This whole dance is all fine, as long as it gets concluded. But if it doesn't, yeah, there'll be a drop-off. Like, the biggest drop-off comes from losing Mohamed Salah. He will still be electric over the next 2 years. This isn't Kevin De Bruyne, who has been brilliant but's probably had his day and his body's starting to give up on him a little bit. That's not happening with Mohamed Salah. He's still giving incredibly impressive one-on-one defenders like Jurien Timber. Okay, maybe he's coming back from an injury. Like, nightmares. Every player he's playing against, they're like spinning round him. He's got pace on them. He's smarter. His vision's revealed itself this year on a new level. If he leaves, it's an absolute travesty. And if you disagree with me, I'd be absolutely fascinated to have a look in the comments and read it. So let me know in the comments down below how you're feeling about this. Do you think he'll go? Do you think it's a storm in the teacup? Have I got that phrase right?